welcome back to Outside Xbox. I'm Jane, joined by Mike and Andy.
Hello.
And today we're talking about Microsoft's E3 2014 prospects and what Microsoft needs to do at E3 2014.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 2013 Xbox Global Media Briefing.
Mike, what is the most important thing Microsoft has to do at E3 2014?
I think one of the most important things is something they have at least resolved to do, which is lots and lots of games. They've said that they've got too many games to fit into their press conference.
Do you believe that?
Kind of, yeah. I feel like they probably do have quite a lot.
How many games is too many to fit into a press conference? So they got what? Is it 1 hour, 2 hours?
I think it's like an hour
Like
and a
an
half.
hour and a half.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. And I mean, it was rammed last year as well. We had like loads and loads of stuff to look at, some of which hasn't come out, some of the indie stuff, and things like Project Spark doesn't really exist yet. So some of it will be like going over stuff and better looks at stuff we saw last year. But I get the feeling this will be a very like game announce heavy sort of E3. And you can see they've sort of tried to sweep things like the death of Kinect and the price cut under the rug sort of before E3 to clear the deck.
Yeah, I think this is going to be an E3 conference where they're going to have to appeal to the core, because that's where they're really losing out to Sony.
Right, well that's not just been their E3 problem, it's been the problem all year long, is taking the core for granted. So clawing back the core at E3 2014 is obviously super important. So it's all about the games, all about bringing the games to E3. What else? What else do Microsoft have to do after bringing the games?
I'd like to see them pledging more support for indies. Indies is an area where PS4 is kind of on the right track and Xbox One really isn't. And it feeds into something else that I think they need to do, which is to make the Games with Gold offering for Xbox One something that's kind of equal to PlayStation Plus. Because at the moment, I think Games with Gold on Xbox 360 is good. They're giving away Dark Souls at the moment, which is a great offer. But on Xbox One, it's like Max the Curse of Brotherhood, which I didn't like.
Yeah.
And that Halo Spartan Assault thing.
Well, those are sort of early XBLA style games that they've released, and they've got such a small back catalogue, whereas Sony has a ton of random indie stuff that's been released.
That's
so
the
they've
thing.
got
So
much more to pick from.
if Microsoft were to increase their support for indies, they would have a good selection of decent indie games that they could offer as incentives for the Games with Gold thing. So it kind of kills two birds with one stone. You appeal to the core with the indie games, but it also gives you something to offer as part of Games with Gold as well.
And what would that pledge look like? What would that commitment to indies look like at E3?
It would be more than just Phil Spencer wearing a variety of indie T-shirts throughout, which
Do you
is
not
what
like
he did
that?
last
Do you
year.
not
No, I
enjoy
like it,
Phil
but I would like to
Spencer's
see
T-shirts?
support extend beyond garments worn on his chest.
The problem they have is this thing about launch parity, right? So if you want to be part of the Idea Xbox program, your first launch will be on the Xbox. And obviously for a lot of indie developers, that's just not practical, right? They build the game for the PC and then they do the console versions afterwards, after they've got a bit of money and got a bit of funding. So that stuff doesn't really jive, and that's the reason I think why we haven't seen as many indie games on the Xbox One as on PlayStation, because PlayStation are like, give us all your indie games, everything you can possibly make, feel free to make it again for PlayStation, and that's been great for them, and has worked, again, really well with their PlayStation Plus promotion. So I don't know whether we're going to see a lot of indie game stuff at E3, because I'm not convinced that they've changed their tack in terms of that launch parity thing. And without that, there's got to be a lead time, and I mean, they may still have convinced some indies to do it, but it's got to be the bigger teams that can afford to produce an Xbox version at the same time as a PC version.
It's not as immediately grabbing or crowd pleasing to say we've got a software developers kit or a new initiative for indie developers. We need to show them the games. But speaking of software development kits, I think we were talking earlier about cloud, and how they could pull off some other impressive tech demo with cloud and remind people that cloud is on the way, and that it might be some tech element to set the Xbox One apart, which the Xbox One is really pretty short on at the moment.
Yeah, so one of the key things when they announced the Xbox One was they were saying this is an endlessly upgradable machine that will get better and have better performance based on the power of the cloud. That has absolutely not been the case so far in the first year. Obviously this is stuff that takes time, and so I was reading up on Crackdown 3 and the kind of rumours surrounding that, and the rumour is that it's a company called Cloud Gin, like engine but with a cloud.
Not the booze drink.
Yeah, sadly
Cloud
not.
Distilled
Cloudy
clouds.
gin, like slow gin or something.
Right.
But essentially, their system is about using the cloud not just for sort of things like driver tiles and stuff like that, but actually allowing it to take some of the sort of graphical load and much more technical load away from the console. Obviously, it relies on sort of fast broadband connections, but the rumour is that Crackdown 3 will be something that heavily relies on this cloud technology and is the real sort of demonstration for what that can do. In the meantime, was a thing saying that one of the guys at Rebellion who's working on Sniper Elite 3 said Microsoft have released a new SDK, so software development kit. So this is the thing they use to build games for Xbox One, and it's a lot faster, and it means they will hit 1080p on Xbox One, no problems with Sniper Elite 3. Now, Sniper Elite 3 is not the most beautiful game I've ever seen. It's good fun, but not the most visually stunning one. So I can sort of see why that might be the case. It'd be really interesting to see whether it has, an effect on other cross-platform titles that maybe wouldn't have hit that 1080p previously.
Kind of a tricky message to get across in a big splashy press conference.
Right, it's not exactly a mic drop, is it?
Yeah.
New SDK.
Right.
We out.
Yeah, I mean, that's another thing that the core are really super into. The kind of 1080p 60 frames a second thing. So
yeah,
I
you can
imagine
sort of build a mic drop around 1080 and 60p
Well, not
more
really.
than over an SDK. Well, they
something
don't
the other
generally
console
talk about
can
things like
do already.
resolution on the stage at E3
Yeah.
anyway.
I think, resolutions, again, it's a hard sell, although you look at what Sony did last year, where they were like talking about a load of quite technical stuff, like about sharing games and stuff, stuff where they clearly read up on the internet that this is what people are passionate about, and recognise that if you say that stuff, the crowd that is sitting in the auditorium, super engaged gamers, are going to go mental.
They're all going to be helicoptering their t-shirts.
I mean, it's not going to happen, but if Microsoft said, all right, from now on, every single game on Xbox One will run in native 1080p, which they can't possibly promise because, you're relying on...
They could, but they have
could.
to break that.
Yeah, exactly. That would cause people to go mental, I think. But it's really difficult. I think what they really need is a game to back up everything they say. So if they're going to talk about cloud technology, they need a game where they show it on the screen and they're like, this is great because of the cloud.
Here's Crackdown 3,
Yeah.
look at it, it's amazing.
Or if they were to announce Halo 5 or whatever, which they're probably not going to do until next year, to say, this is what it looks like. Yeah, it's announced, but they haven't shown any footage. If they were going to show it and they showed it and said, this is amazing and stunning and it's running at 1080p, 60 frames per second, and it's a shooter rather than just Forza, which, much as I love Forza,
just Forza,
only appeals to people like me. That would be the kind of demonstration that the console's powerful enough to do this stuff.
Yeah. So you mentioned Halo and Crackdown there. What other games do we think we're going to see? I mean, we know they're working on a new Gears of War game, which I don't think it's been in development that long.
100 days, were they saying?
100 and a bit now.
Yeah, 100 and a bit days.
It's only been 100 days.
Do you think it's too early for them to show off something for New Gears of War?
You can always pay Blur to make yourself a nice cinematic trailer with a few of the concept arty sort of assets and stuff. So they could definitely have Gears in the thing, but they'll be like, find out more, next year or whatever.
It's never too early for a flavour trailer, as we saw with Halo 5.
Yeah.
It's never too early for a flashy
that's
CG,
true.
almost completely irrelevant flavour trailer.
Yeah, and we get stuff with like 2016 as the date on the thing. I mean, like, as far as I'm concerned, that is like hoverboards and flying cars.
Right.
If I still care about Halo 4 2016,
Yeah.
something's gone badly wrong.
Interestingly, the recent Quantum Break teaser they put out said they'd be revealing more at Gamescom, not at E3. You'd think with a big Xbox One conference they want to put the exclusives kind of front and centre. So it's interesting that they're not. Well, I mean, they're not going to be showing Quantum Break to the extent they're going to be showing it at Gamescom.
Yeah, maybe it's just awful though.
That's
Maybe
true.
it got bumped from the list.
Maybe they looked at it and went, we can't show this.
Exactly.
It's terrible.
What we've actually seen in this week before E3 is that so many games are revealing, breaking cover, do we say, early.
Sure.
And we're speculating that it's because they're terrified of how much noise there's going to be at E3. Not literally, but in terms of how many games there are going to be there, and they don't want to get swallowed up in that kind of news flood.
You're right, it's strange to be talking about stuff you're going to be showing at the show after the one that's coming up.
Yeah.
Very strange, particularly for a Microsoft exclusive. I like to think that I'm super optimistic, and I'm hoping it's because there are just so many games at E3 this year that you won't be able to concentrate on any single one.
We've bumped Sam Lake because we've just got so many amazing
Well, we're going to see
games.
the new Forza Horizon. They're definitely going to show that off.
Looks great.
Which looks great. I think we'll see more from Halo, like another CG.
There will be Halo something.
Yeah.
It'll be the
Anniversary.
Halo 2 anniversary edition for this winter.
Well, the rumour is that
That's
boring.
all three. That was one of the rumours, was that
really?
it was remastered Halo
2,
1,
3.
2 and 3.
But they already did one.
Yeah, no, but that would be bundled
Again?
in with...
Okay.
Yeah, but for Xbox One, bundled in with
I see.
Halo 2 Anniversary and Halo 3
That'd be cool.
And then they'll give you a little tease of what Halo 5 will look
And
like.
the TV show with Spielberg.
Yeah.
Spielberg on stage again?
I don't want to see any
Probably
TV
not
shows at
Spielberg on stage
E3.
again.
No, maybe they'll steer well clear
Yeah.
after TV.
Fable Legends, is it?
Yeah.
People seem to have forgotten about that, so they probably want to remind people
Yeah, it's
that
been-
that's a thing.
Little bits and bobs.
Minecraft on Xbox One, which 4J has been sort of like trickling information out about, and it is still on the way, but they could be saving up the release date before E3, Microsoft could be like, no, it's coming
Yeah.
right now.
There's a
and
coffee
it's
under
gonna-
everyone's seat.
It's frankly embarrassing that Xbox One doesn't have Minecraft yet. So
Yeah.
I know it's a bit of an obvious one, and also it's a game that people know, but it's also a game people love, and to finally get on Xbox One would be a necessity.
Yeah.
Microsoft could do with a few right now announcements. So during the course of the show, they can say, if you go on your Xbox One right now, you will find this brilliant thing. Those are always good fun, aren't they?
Too early for a new hardware redesign? Xbox Slim?
Yeah, I would have thought so. They need to
Shift the inventory they've got currently. Third-party games, I mean, I imagine we'll probably see Assassin's Creed at the Sony conference, because Ubisoft and Sony are pretty tight at the moment.
Bit of Metal Gear Solid. Phantom Pain.
Yeah, because
Had a bit of that last year. In fact, had quite a lot of it last year. It opened the conference last year.
Yeah. But now we've played Ground Zeroes and have a bit of an idea of what that will be like. Everyone's super excited now, I think, because if it's a game that is 8 to 10 versions of a Ground Zeroes level, that will keep you going for ages.
Yeah. So other big third-party games. Now, I know Rockstar are rumoured to have a next-gen title in the works. And I think if you're going to see Rockstar doing anything at E3, it's going to be at one of the platform holders' conferences.
Because
So
they don't have a booth of their own. Rockstar are never there, sort of.
actually cool.
Well, they have a secret sort of booth that no one's allowed to go in. What? Yeah. Did you not see it
Been
last
lied
year?
to.
The house is just sitting there eating grapes. So either something like a next-gen version of GTA 5, or possibly a new Red Dead game, which I would love to see. Or people say maybe they're going to resurrect Agent, but
I think that game is dead. I think they've just given up. But you know what? It'd be interesting if Sony were like, "Hey, do you remember when we paid you all that money for Agent? How about you parlay that into Red Dead content or something?" So we may see Red Dead at
a
Sony's conference.
I so hope they announce a new Red Dead.
Yeah, it would be really, really good.
You get a PS4 for it.
If it was only on PS4,
You would do it.
yeah, right.
You would do it.
I would.
It will never just be on PS4, but it might have platform
Exclusive hat.
content.
Yeah.
I would still get it for an exclusive hat.
So I think we will see a bit of Rockstar. They won't do anything on their own, but yeah, they'd be really cool.
They would
to
probably
see.
be there at the behest of Microsoft or Sony.
Yes,
Yeah.
right, exactly.
I would love to see Microsoft wheel out a Bethesda main game studio game.
My God, that would be amazing.
'Cause
Fallout
it's
4,
been-
you mean?
Yeah, Fallout 4 has got to be the next one, hasn't it? We heard rumblings that it wouldn't be there, but I just feel like it's something they would have to keep so secret, and they must be working on it. I mean, Fallout 3 was enormously successful.
Yeah.
Even Fallout New Vegas did pretty well, and those guys have to be working on something. And it can't be an Elder Scrolls game because they've still got Elder Scrolls Online, which is now delayed to next year, as far as I know.
BGS has been working on something since the Skyrim DLC stopped early last year. So
Yeah.
I mean,
How
Well,
long
they
does
probably
it take to make a Fallout game?
like a couple of weeks. All right, so that's Bethesda, Rockstar. Anything else? I mean, the big EA and Ubisoft, they've got their own conferences, so stuff
so
pretty
they'll have
much
their own
there.
surprises. I mean, you could see some Square Enix or something, but their stock has dropped sort of. It used to be drop a new Final Fantasy or something into the conference. No one really seems to care that much
Yeah,
anymore.
that's true.
And that'll be at Sony, if anything.
Yeah,
You
it's
would
the more
think.
Japanese vibe, hasn't
Yeah,
it? But
yeah. All right, well, last of all, a few weeks ago we were talking about virtual reality on Xbox. And back then, I think we were reasonably optimistic about seeing something at E3. Seems like a no now, just a flat no.
post the Kinect
Yeah,
stuff.
I can't see them doing it, to be honest.
I'd love it if they did it. I think it would. But again, it's not only would it be potentially hugely expensive to do and potentially not a great idea when you're already bidding a piece of technology, it would also not be an E3 winning, announcement.
It looks like a kind of Me Too
Yeah,
thing,
it's like
but-
a catch up with Sony. So I'd love for them to do it, but it would not be. I think the thing is, your mic drop this year has to be a game, and it has to be a game that will blow people's minds. Because the hardware thing's sort of last year's deal.
There's not going to be a price drop. There's not going to be probably a new model, any kind of new hardware. It has to be exclusive games. That's kind of what the core want to see, and that's what's going to make people buy Xbox Ones.
So
Okay.
I think the final thing at this E3 conference will be a big first-party game, and I think that's the thing that's the only thing they can really end on. Really. That's my prediction. Feel free to shoot me down.
Alright.
Feel free to watch this video after the Microsoft conference and tell me
Yeah.
in the comments what an idiot I am.
All right, okay, so this year, E3 for Microsoft has to be all about the games and all the tech stuff and all the messaging and all the programs for developers have to be in support of games that they have to show on stage.
Right,
And
less
that's-
about the television, less about the fitness, less about that stuff, just games, I think.
Yes, less or nothing.
Nothing,
In fact.
at all.
All right, well, that's the prescription for Microsoft E3. You're welcome, Microsoft. Let us know how it goes. And we'll see you in LA at E3 2014. Thanks for watching.
Bye.